what do some of the primary things in my life actually mean to me? I live in DC. You're being a Republican or a Democrat, that is treated like it's a hereditary gene. But as soon as I could vote, my dad would take me, another go-go gadget arm, and go vote Republican. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not genetic. It's not like high blood pressure really runs in the family. I'm Silver, a born clairvoyant, a near-death experiencer, and I'm here to remind you that you are your best guru. And there is a metaphor from Michelangelo that kicks so much ass. Basically, he called David one of his greatest creations, carving the angel out of the stone. He said David was already there, complete and whole within the stone. His only job was to remove what wasn't David. And that is a freaking spot-on metaphor for how we can live our best lives too. And the most accessible way into this whole process is something probably so many of us do on a daily basis and discard it before we even bother to take a look at it, because it's such a common experience. And that is anytime you're going about your business and the phrase, something just feels off, or the feeling that something's bothering you, but for no obvious reason. And we shove that away so often because it happens so often, which is totally human. And we don't realize that feelings are not facts, but they are information. And actually, I would argue that every emotional experience, equally as much as every more cut and dry external experience with another person or in the workplace, are equally important data for us to investigate when something feels ick or annoying or pisses you off. And the thing of it is, a lot of us have not actually gone inside and asked ourselves, what do some of the primary things in my life actually mean to me? I live in DC. You're being a Republican or a Democrat, that is treated like it's a hereditary gene. When I was able to vote, I had no idea what was going on with the world. I was like every other part of the herd teenager, just listening to Nirvana and talking about Pearl Jam. You know what I'm saying? No idea. But as soon as I could vote, my dad would take me, another go-go gadget arm, and go vote Republican. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not genetic. It's not like high blood pressure really runs in the family. No, you're Republican. And I'm not anything until I even become aware of it, investigate it, and make an informed choice. Another topic that usually ends up like this, or often ends up like this, and I can't believe they let me get married, because I got married in the Catholic Church, and we did the pre-canon classes, which was basically every meeting we'd sit in a circle and all promise to the priest that we would do something. And I was this guy's biggest pain in the ass, because I just would say, no, you are not a practical man. What are you talking about? He wanted me to promise that I would raise my children. By the way, that was assumed, might I point out, that I would raise my children in the Catholic faith. And I remember saying, I don't care if they're wicked witches. I hope with my deepest heart they find some version of a higher self that they do not feel afraid of, and that brings them comfort and gives them strength beyond their own. But I'm not gonna freaking promise you to make them Catholic. It's not in our genealogy. It's a freaking choice. He also wanted me, by the way, and why me? Why not the dude? I'm just saying. I was living with my then fiance, which hell he was like I'm not gonna do no dress rehearsal before I marry someone. That's just insane. And he pulled me aside after one meeting and was like, to honor whatever it is. I can't even tell you. To honor what? I don't know. Maybe it's religiously illegal to live with your person for marriage. I'm guessing. I do not know. But he said, you're really going? And mind you, my dude is just wandering around. This is on me. He's like, you're gonna need to move out of the home until the wedding. The wedding was so many months away. And I was a grown-ass woman with a real job who had to get up ass early in the morning and go on the metro for an hour and a half. And I truly was like, do you really think I'm gonna do that? I don't understand why you'd even ask. That's such an inane question. No, I'm not going to couch surf for the next 6 months. Would you? I don't know. And granted, yes, I have had personally devastational situations with the priest I grew up with, but it just felt so meaningless. It felt so letter of the law and not spirit of the law. Who freaking cares? And really, I'm not sleeping on a couch for 6 months. So there's an example too. Religion. And it's funny, one of my children has gravitated towards the church. And the other one of my children is me, a freelance agent who just loves God. But the most awesome thing about this is if we become aware of it, when something pisses us off or we're like, something doesn't feel right, we don't have to do it in the moment. Because that's like ninja style stuff. You're just kind of thinking about this and wondering how to grow and how to adult. And I don't know, what does it look like for me to have ideals for myself? What actually does the process of love look like for me? For me, I'm always like very open about I don't sleep with people unless we're like a committed relationship and that it's really close. And I say that early, so I'm not saying that a couple weeks in and being coy or something, and I say it outside the bedroom, out in public. So the person gets a better sense of this has nothing to do with you and this is not some secret test. It's just, I have asked myself these questions and that is what matches my insides. You might be the total opposite, but it's worth it for us to know before going into situations. Do you know what I'm saying? And oftentimes we don't get out our flashlight and look at it because it's like we don't want to deal and we're busy as F and we're stressed out and we're already worried about 10 other things and we're in traffic and we just get a little grumpy. Adulting makes me a little grumpy. And we're also, so many of us, living with self-perceptions. The idea of ourselves in our mind has actually still, to this day as an adult, been shaped by how we think we were perceived or received as a kid. And I know for me, it was always like, do not talk about any of your weird stuff. It's not true. Nothing you're seeing is real. So that, for me, fast forward is like, I hate myself. I'm broken. I don't understand why. And I swear to God, I'm not lying. I'm seeing all this stuff. And ultimately, it calcified into I'm unlovable. And I'm still working through that. It was such a branded, paddle butt branded thing into how I saw myself. Because when the people you have as authorities as a kid, I didn't have siblings to dilute any of this, you know what I'm saying? Or they probably wouldn't have diluted it. They'd probably make great use of it. But like for me, I had my mom, my dad, my perverted priest. I'm not saying all priests are perverted. I'm not saying that. And my teachers. Except the thing was, every single one of those authority figures fed into, at a minimum, that I was weird. My 6th grade teacher sat me down and was like, you're not gonna make it in life unless you become less weird. And I was like, how does he know? Because I had been aggressively pretending to be normal since kindergarten, which, no coincidence, is when my self-hatred started. So the next time you feel something like that and it pops up and you're like, oh, that's weird, that felt weird, something's weird about that, something's off, that bothered me. Later on, when you have a moment, take a minute and look back and see what you can find. There's something in you that doesn't genuinely match with whatever was said or with whatever happened. And that's freaking awesome. That's such a big doorway to know that just the mere thought of that felt weird is way over sufficient to begin the process of looking inside ourselves and double checking what we do value and what we do believe. It's such an accessible process. And I feel this very strongly, and I know I don't know, but I would bet you all the money in the world that you will find something that you've been acting upon or doing or not doing that if given some attention and some curiosity, you'd be like, oh, I actually want to do that. Or I actually want to change this. That doesn't actually really fit what I actually believe. And then we get to adjust ourselves because we can't make all the other people do what we want, which would be the ultimate cheating, but seriously awesome. So we gotta stick to ourselves. We gotta make the changes in ourselves. I don't like the word change either, because that makes me think of doing emotional homework. I think adjustment. I gotta adjust myself in this situation, because as it turns out, I'm not as clear about that situation as I thought I was. And that was obvious because if I was, I wouldn't have been annoyed that my coworker assumed something about me. And now that I think about it, I realize that's not true. And that's why it annoyed me. So what do I need to do to make my actions and speech and everything more unified and more authentic so that somebody wouldn't presume something about me that's really not true? And that could be honestly as simple as something as don't let your blood sugar drop and get hangry. Like this does not have to be a bloody, painful surgery, but it can seriously lessen the friction in everyday life. And yes, please, sign me up for that. I want that. I would love it. It's never gonna happen, but at least we can get a coupon. I hope this helped. I love you guys. Join my Patreon if you want to talk together about your journey, and I'll see you in the next one.